drunkenness, orgies, drinking parties, lawless idolatries. He's speaking to the believers and he goes, come on, the time that's passed, that's enough, right? Have you had your fill of sin? Okay, I don't care how much sin you've had or how little sin, but look back to who you used to be. Was that enough for you? Peter's saying, come on, you guys. You saw where that led you. Are you at a point right now where you go, I've had enough? Just that one word, enough. I'm done with it. I saw where that took me. I saw what that was doing to me. I saw what that was doing to my relationship with God. I'm done with it. Whatever I did in the past, or is there a part of you that goes, man, I kind of want to go back? Maybe just one more day, maybe just one more month, and then I'll start January 1. I'll change my life 1st of January, or are you right now going, no, I've had enough. I've had enough of the old me and where I was taking myself. I want Jesus now. I want to die. I'm willing to suffer because I want this. Man, the past, it suffices. It's good enough. Did I do everything I wanted to do? No, you know what? I did enough. I did enough to see where that led me, and I'm done. It's enough. You know, we read this week also in 2 Peter 2, how it talks about how the dog returns to his vomit, right? And the pig returns to his mud. Why is that? Because a dog's always going to be a dog, and a pig's always going to be a pig. It's such a gross picture. Picture me vomiting right now. It's beautiful, huh? You know, just all over. And we all just go, oh, gross, gross. And then I come running back with a spoon. Exactly. But that's what I've seen many people do. You saw how ugly your sin was, and then you go running back with a spoon. It's just gross. Or pig, you wash it all off, spray it all off, and what's the first thing it's going to do? Just look for some mud, right? I saw this for the first time a couple weeks ago over at this ranch. You know, they washed this pig out, then they had to just, chain it, hog tie, whatever. Just keep it away from any dirt, because that's just his natural tendency is to run back to the dirt. Why? Because he's still a pig. See, and that's what Jesus can change in you, is he can change your very nature where you're no longer a pig. You're no longer a dog. It's like I'm a new creation, so I don't go back to my vomit. It's not me where I go back to my mud. It's like whatever's done, the past suffices. I'm good now. I'm a new creation. Oh, man, I'm so done with all the stuff the unbelievers do, the Gentiles do. I'm not in it anymore. Whatever I did in the past, that was good enough. I know where that leads. Isn't this a great passage? Man, this is what we read this week. Then he goes on, verse 4. With respect to this, they're surprised when you do not join them in the same flood of debauchery, and they malign you. But they will give account to him who is ready to judge the living and the dead. This has happened to some of you, right? You give your life to Jesus. And then suddenly your whole crowd, it says they're surprised when you don't join them anymore. Remember the first time you looked at some of your friends and you're like, I just don't want to do that anymore. I'm not into that anymore. And they just look at you like, what? What are you talking about? This is our whole lives. This is all we've ever done. And you just go, that day when you made that break and you just go, man, what I've done, that was enough for me. I don't need any more. I don't want any more. I'm a different person now. I don't go back to that. I used to do that. And it says that they get surprised. Like, what do you mean you're done with it? How does a pig not go back to mud? And you have that opportunity to share them. I've got this new nature now. It's like my desires are different. I used to be a slave to sin, and now I'm like a slave to what's right. And when I do sin, it's not even fun anymore. It's like I hate it. I hate that. It's not even enjoyable because I've got the Spirit in me now. And it's like every time I do something that's evil, it's like, it's like this master beating me. I don't want to enjoy it anymore. I've got this new nature. I don't enjoy rolling around in the mud. I don't know, it's weird. But it's not fun like it used to be. The time of the past, that sufficed. And it says they don't join you. They're surprised when you don't join them, and they malign you. They start talking trash about you. They start talking about how you're the one that's off. See, and this is where the suffering comes in, right? And Jesus is saying, okay, when that happens, don't give in to the pressure of, oh man, now they're talking bad about. No, rejoice in that. Arm yourself with that thinking, knowing, hey, when I go back to my friends and tell them I'm not going to live that way, expect suffering. Put on that helmet, arm yourself going, okay, this is what Jesus went through, and I'm about to get some of this. And I'm going to get some eternal reward right now. They're going to reject me. I'm not going to expect them to go, oh, that's beautiful. You're following Jesus now. You're not going to don't expect that. Arm yourselves with the way of thinking that Christ had. He says they malign you, but verse 5, this is why we don't go back. But they will give account to him who is ready to judge the living and the dead. This is why we don't join him, right? It's either we suffer now or we suffer later and forever. Look, sin's tempting. I'm not saying that, like I said, it's suffering to not give up our sin. Some of you guys are in relationships you know you shouldn't be in. You know Jesus would not have picked that person for you. And to give that person up, man, you talk about suffering, you talk about weeks on the couch, crying yourself to sleep. It's suffering. It's big time suffering. But you suffer now, you suffer later. You know, walking away from your friends, I mean, and I'm not saying walk away like never talk to them, but walk away from what they do. And maybe you need to take a break if you're not strong enough. But man, that's suffering. When those are the only friends you've got, it's suffering. And he says, man, but do it because when they malign you, you got to understand they're going to give account to the one who is ready to judge the living and the dead. I'm not making this stuff. Read it yourself. Right? It's right there. The one who is ready. When people say, oh, God doesn't judge, God doesn't judge. What? He's ready to judge. That's why he's like, come on. You know, he's right there. It's the moment you die, he's right there. He's ready. You know, people who say, well, just one more week. I mean, I used to work with youth a lot, young people, and they'd always say, well, when I'm older, right now I want to have fun. When I'm older, you know, maybe on my hospital bed, maybe, you know, when I've got a few minutes left. Really? Man, why don't you take a walk with me through a cemetery sometime, and let's just read the tombstones, how long they lived. You think everyone lived to 80? No, you see 5-year-olds, you see 2-year-olds, you see 12-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. Just look at, just read the dates. Man, and God's on the other side just waiting. He's ready to judge the living and the dead. It doesn't matter that no one knows. See, some of you, you're doing stuff that none of us know about. Here I am going, oh man, what an awesome church. But there's stuff hidden, I know, and I don't know about it. But you're not getting away with anything. You reap what you sow. God says it right there. He's ready to judge. He's on the other side. He's waiting for it. He says, for this is why the gospel was preached, even to those who are dead, that though judged in the flesh the way people are, they might live in the spirit the way God does. He's talking about those who are now dead, people who have died that heard the gospel. That's why the gospel was preached to them. You may not have seen it in life, but they see it now. They're living like Jesus did, who died and rose again. See, that's why we do this. You can follow Jesus. That's what it means to follow Jesus. We follow him in his suffering, and we follow him in his glory. And it's like, okay, I'll suffer on this earth. I'll suffer what I need to suffer. In fact, I want to suffer. Give me some of that, because I really believe something better is coming. And he says the gospel was preached to these people who are now living the way God lives. You see, you can end up like Jesus, or you could end up like your old friends. For some of you, your old friends, where are they going to end up? TL, laying in the streets, talking to themselves, or holed up in an SRO with all the curtains shut, paranoid, just waiting to die, and then face the judge who's standing and ready to judge on the other side. That's the way you want to end it? Or for others of you, maybe it's not like that. Maybe on earth it means you're rich and you're comfortable and you're laying on your couch watching movies. Spoil your kids, golf and shop the rest of your life, and then you stand before the living God. And what you do with your life? See, or do you want to be like Jesus? Do you want to join us and go, you know what? I'll take one on the chin. I'll do it. I'll do what I need to do. I actually want some in my life. And I want to rejoice in some of this because I'm not living for this world. Like Jesus, you know what? I can die to myself. And I actually have armed myself with this way of thinking. So even if some of you hate this message today, please tell me. Like, I want it. I want you to tell me I'm insane. You know? Suffering's okay. And I'm learning more and more. Man, I'm like you. Okay? It's not like I, in the flesh, like to get beat up. It's not like I like to be rejected. But when I arm myself with this mindset, it's actually okay. It's all good. And so we join together and work together at this. And then he says in verse 7, the end of all things is at hand. Therefore be self-controlled, sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. He goes, look, the end's near. We don't got much longer. He goes, so be self-controlled. Show some self-control. I know you want to do this, you want to do that. Show some self-control. He goes, and be sober-minded. Your mind clear. Don't get it all foggy with all of this junk in there. All this media, all these movies, all this. Just, it's just like, I'm just cluttered with all this stuff. He goes, no, don't be sober-minded, clear-minded. And that takes self-control. It takes self-control not to be checking your phone every few minutes and go, watch this video, look at this, look what this guy said. It's like, man, just calm down, get in the presence of God, get your mind clear, read the scriptures, get in the Word every morning, erase your mind of all the other junk and just stand before God without your mind just going 100 miles an hour. Show some self-control. He says, so that for the sake of your prayers, so that you can have a good prayer life. Man, if Christ is returning, you want to have a good prayer life. He says, but that takes self-control. That doesn't just mean there's something supernatural that happens once you get in that room alone with God. No, it takes self-control ahead of time. What you do ahead of time is going to determine how your prayer life's going to be, whether you exercise self-control. He goes on, above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. Okay, Christ is coming, so let's just love each other even more. Okay? He says, because love is what's going to cover up our sins. Look, I'm going to offend you. I'm going to sin against you. But if you love me, you overlook it. Right? Haven't you done that in your life where someone, like I remember when Lisa and I were first dating, like she has a Coke with her everywhere. And she used to be more clumsy. I feel like you're less clumsy now. But when you were younger, and she would just spill a Coke, on the car, on me, on whatever. And it was just like, it's so cute, you spill Coke. Why? Because I'm in love, I don't care. Spill it all over me. Wow, I can't believe you're still going out with me. Then over the years, you get used to someone. It's like, you spill again. But love, right? Love covers over a multitude of sins. And so if you really love me, man, I'm going to do stuff that bugs you. Okay, but you love me so much, it's just Francis. All right, spill some more. And for us to start looking at each other. If you get bugged by these people around you, it's because it's a lack of love. You just if you find yourself always getting bugged and annoyed by people, it's because you're not a very loving person. I'm talking to myself. I know when I love someone, they don't irritate me that much. So you arm yourself. You keep loving each other. You show hospitality to one another without grumbling. I love this word, hospitality. It's to care and to love strangers. You show hospitality. You love strangers, people you never even met before, without grumbling. Without grumbling. Key phrase there. You know why? Because when you complain about serving God, who gets the glory? When you walk in, I'm so exhausted because, I was calling my people all night and, I'm fasting, I'm just exhausted, and, people are harsh on me. Who gets the glory right then? It's all you. Every time you complain, it draws the attention to you. But when you can just show hospitality and not complain about it, it's like, man, who gets the glory? Him. It's like, man, it's so good. I get to be like Jesus. Why? Because Jesus changed your nature, and you just love serving. These things, I can't go through every verse. Okay, maybe one more. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's very grace. Whoever speaks as one who speaks the oracles of God. Whoever serves as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To him belong glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Because everyone has a gift, so serve. As everyone's been given a gift, you did not come here to be served today. Just put that helmet on, put that mindset on, the same mindset of Christ. You didn't come for me to serve you, for Jonathan, the worship team to serve you, for the people who cook to serve. You came to serve. You came here to give, and that's what we do. All right, let me just keep going. Verse 12, because I'm using my gift, like he says. Verse 12. I'm not doing it because it's like, I have to do this. It's like, man, this is my joy. I want you to get this passage. Okay, verse 12. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice insofar as you share Christ's sufferings, that you may also rejoice and be glad when his glory is revealed. If you're insulted for the name of Christ, you're blessed because the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. Okay. Can he be any more clear? He says, brothers, don't be surprised when the fiery trial comes upon you. And isn't it crazy that we read this passage on the same day that we read Daniel 3, where it talks about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown into the fiery furnace? That was crazy. They gave us an Old Testament reading, New Testament reading. He goes, don't be surprised at the fiery trial when those guys were like, hey, go ahead, throw me in the fire. God may have me die there, and he may rescue me there. I don't know. Just right there. That's a lot of good theology right there. It's not like, go ahead, throw me in the fire. I know God's going to rescue me. He goes, I don't know. God may have me die here. God's had people die plenty, all throughout the scriptures. You see it on TV now. Pull it up on YouTube. Our brothers and sisters are being killed. Okay, sometimes that's his will, and that's what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they go ahead, throw us in the pit. I don't know what he's going to do. Either way, I'm not going to bow down to some gold statue you made. I'd rather die than that. That's ridiculous. Look at that thing. That thing didn't create me. I'm not scared. I'd be happy to die in the name of God. Throw me in there. And God rescues him, and he says, don't be surprised. See what I'm saying? Don't be surprised. How many times do you hear Christians whine, going, why? Why is this happening to me? Why is it so hard? It's because we don't preach passages like this. If we preached what the Bible obviously preached, we wouldn't be asking why, except during times of comfort. Because the gist of this book, man, over and over and over, is expect suffering. Don't be surprised at the fiery trial. And most say this was written during the time of Emperor Nero, when he was taking Christians and he would just put fuel on them and he would just light them on fire just to light up his garden. Every night he'd just grab a couple Christians. And Peter's telling those people, hey, don't be surprised by this. You knew what we were getting into. You remember what our master said? Rejoice and be glad. And that's what the apostles did, right? You see it in Acts 5. They get beat up, and what do? They rejoice. Oh, man, they just tortured us in the name of Jesus. So this was not just a vague, like what we do to so many Bible passages. We can know this is the real thing. If you're insulted for the name of Christ, you're blessed. See, that's not what we teach today. We teach if you're rich, you got a big old house, and all this money in the bank, you're blessed. That's not what Jesus said. He says, if you're insulted for the name of Christ, you're blessed. Because the Spirit of God, the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. It's like, oh man, you're a blessed person. Because you can endure suffering. That means God's Spirit's really in you.